podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Now entering the PNRNetworks arena, coming down the aisle from Revere, Massachusetts, weighing in at absolutely none of your business. It's the mistress of mayhem, the queen of quips. It's time for Ring Around the Rosie with your hostess, Kim Brown.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week here on Ring Around the Rosie. I am your host, Kim Brown, aka Platinum Rose Lady, coming to you on Tuesday, the 10th of December, 2019. Okay, so I'm back. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody who has been so kind, as I mentioned before, you know, with all of the stuff we've been dealing with for the past month in my family. And just, again, huge shout out and love to everyone because you've all been so lovely and great. And I really appreciate all of the good vibes and words of support and stuff like that. I know my mom would have thought you were all really great because you're all wrestling fans. And she'd all think you're probably pretty weird because she thought I was pretty weird for being a wrestling fan on top of the 900 other reasons that I'm weird. But she loved me for who I was. Okay, so it's Christmas time. And that's obviously very important. It's also, you know, the time of year when there's other holidays too in other people's faiths, which are very important too. You know, Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and winter solstice and Festivus, which isn't a real holiday, but what are you going to do? And, you know, all that stuff. And so just getting it all out there. Everybody who's celebrating something this month or this time of year or whatever, I hope that you get to spend it with people that you love. Okay. So, now the reason I bring that up is because, as we have mentioned, I've mentioned before, my husband TC, who is a wonderful human being and probably the only person I could think of that puts up with my shit because he's probably more crazy than I am, only because he's a little older, just a little. And so he is going to be so mad when he hears this part. But we love all kinds of different things. And one of the things we love is movies. Now, the reason I bring that up is because a few years back, we saw this incredible documentary called Jingle Bell Rocks. Now, Jingle Bell Rocks was a documentary about Christmas music. Now, don't panic. This was like Christmas music that, trust me, you have never heard before. Just really, you know, people who collect really weird Christmas music. And it was a really fascinating documentary because, you know, you hear all the stuff you hear on the radio that you hear every single solitary year. And I'm not saying that's bad, but, you know, you would like to hear something new and different every once in a while because you can only hear silver bells so many times in a day before you want to lock yourself in the bathroom until it's June. But so there's all these crazy songs. And if you've never seen Jingle Bell Rocks, seek it out because it's a very cool movie. But there's this one song that got brought up in this movie, and it's an extremely strange song by an extremely strange band. And this could only have come out in the 60s because wheelbarrows full of drugs? I don't know. I mean, that's my definition of the 60s. It was a band called The Free Design. I know, I never heard of them either. And they did a song called Close Your Mouth, It's Christmas. Now, the reason I bring that up is because this song is probably going to be playing in my head until Christmas time because it's the only way I can keep from just going crazy. Close your mouth, it's Christmas is basically what it says it's about. Shut up, stop worrying, and try and just enjoy the season. But closing your mouth is something that other people should probably think about doing, or at least think before they open their mouths. In one situation, I hate to sound like I'm scolding, because I respect the people involved. But I do understand where my beloved, my Imzadi, my Sweetums, my honey bunny, my husband is coming from here. Because he's a very smart dude on top of everything else. He's an amazingly smart person. And we were talking about wrestling a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the most recent AEW show, which wound up having a face-off between champion Chris Jericho, and he was out there with his new list that's not called a list, but called something else, but it's totally a list because reasons. Because it worked someplace, let's just go try it someplace else. Of people he wasn't going to face before the new year. I noticed the name Moxley was on there like a lot. But somebody came out to challenge him, and that somebody turned out to be Jurassic Express. All three of them. And I was like, please don't tell me they're going to put Marco Stunt in the ring with Jericho, please. I'm not saying that Marco isn't amazing and wouldn't put on a hella clinic and be a complete fun match to watch, but I'm like, it's a little early for that. Just my opinion. I was like, okay, so it's going to be Luchasaurus. No, actually it turned out it was going to be Jungle Boy. And damn it, did I squeal. Damn it if I didn't shriek like a 15-year-old at a Jonas Brothers concert. I admit it. I admit when I get excited about things, and I'm not vocal about it. We'll go with that. The thing that irritated me and my husband, more my husband than me, but when he started talking about it, I went, you know what? He has the point. During the whole confrontation between Jungle Boy and Jericho, where Jericho was extremely rude to him, and I was like, oh, Chris, oh, honey, there's no reason to be so nasty to Jungle Boy because he's young and handsome and you're you. I mean, I wouldn't say Chris has lost his looks. Misplaced them, maybe, but no. Yeah, I know. It's a good thing I'm cute. Otherwise, I'd be a major bitch. No, actually, Chris, I'm kidding. I kid. You're still a very handsome man, Chris. I'm just fooling around. But let's be, perfectly honest. Jungle Boy is crazy, stupid, hot. There, I said it. Not sorry. Woman needs, don't judge. But the thing that bothered my guy was that previously to this, Jim Ross had referred to Jungle Boy as his true name, Jack Perry. And Chris Jericho referred to him as Jack Perry during this whole promo, that happened. And this brought to mind an interview that we had watched with Al Snow. I know some people just went, wait, what the fuck? How did she go from AEW to Al Snow? There's a reason. We were watching a part of a shoot interview with Al Snow where he was talking about kayfabe and also talking about how wrestling fans should just keep their mouths shut and stuff like that. Al's of the opinion, from what I've seen, Al is of the opinion that wrestling fans shouldn't complain about the way wrestling is done because they're not wrestlers and haven't ever been in the ring, so we don't know anything. Al's entitled to his opinion, but that's, and I'm gonna just leave that alone. But he did bring up a good point when he was talking about kayfabe. And now, obviously, kayfabe is a genie that ain't going back in that bottle. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, we all know wrestling is really blah, blah, blah. Where I'm not going to do that. But if somebody has an identity that's what they're known by, and they go out there and wrestle and perform and do everything that they do under that identity, I do think it's a little bit, I don't want to use the word disrespectful because I definitely don't think JR was attempting to disrespect Jungle Boy. I'm not entirely sure Chris wasn't because he's supposed to be the heel. And let's face it, Chris is terrific as a face. He's also dynamite as a heel. But calling somebody by their real name, first of all, that brings up the whole, what's really reality? You know, what's really real? And I know some people are going, oh, fuck, what the hell did she take tonight? Nothing, honestly, nothing that I don't usually. Never mind, that's, y'all don't need to know that. No, I'm okay. Drugs are bad, okay? But the whole thing with calling people by their real name. Now, if it's done in a storyline way, if you're in the, like, I remember back when, I mean, this is going way back. I realize for some people this is before you were born. To those people, don't tell me about it. I don't want to hear it. There was this one part of an angle with The Undertaker years ago where it seemed like he had really flipped his crap and had, you know, like he actually, they referred to him during one of the you know, the conversations or whatever. The announcers they didn't call him Taker or Undertaker or anything like that. They called him Mark. They actually called him by his name. And I remember sitting there going, what? You know, not like, you know, it was one of those moments, it was jarring. It was like, oh my gosh, they're really making it seem like, you know, he's gone so far into his character that he doesn't know what's real and what isn't anymore, that he really believes he is the Undertaker, you know? And that was actually kind of cool. I mean, they completely fucked up the angle when it turned out that Vince McMahon was the higher power, because that made no fucking sense and blew the whole angle up like the end of the bridge on the River Kwai. But I just don't, I don't like it. I don't like this trend, and I really wish they would quit doing it on AEW. Specifically, I wish they would quit doing it with Jungle Boy. Nobody's going out there and calling him Christopher Irvine just to prove a point. To the audience, he's Chris Jericho. Nobody's calling, you know, I'm not going to sit here and rattle off everybody's real name because that's annoying. You know, I mean, that's the one thing. Please, if you're a wrestling fan and you are lucky enough to meet a wrestler, don't do that. Don't be that fan, please. If you meet somebody like The Undertaker, refer to him as Taker, refer to him as The Undertaker, refer to him as Sir. I mean, if I met The Undertaker, I'd refer to him as Sir. Or possibly something else that would no, we're not going to go. No, I'm not going there. Oh crap. You don't need that look into my psyche. But I mean, don't do that. Don't be that fan. Don't be the one that refers to somebody like Roman Reigns as Joe. I mean, we all know his real name is Joe. We know that. He came out there and said that when he was out talking about the fact that his leukemia came back, because he wanted people to know that he was speaking as Joe and not as Roman Reigns, the big dog, even though you had some fucking fuckheads that were like, oh, he's just trying to get sympathy and this is all an angle. And to you people, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I hadn't brought that up before because I kept quiet about it, but there were actually assholes online who were saying that you people suck. You people are the reason that people hate wrestling fans. You suck. But seriously, back to the other stuff. Like I said, I'm really hoping that they quit with the whole, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, blah, blah, blah. Because he's been introduced as Jungle Boy, and we know his real name is Jack Perry. We know that his father was the late actor Luke Perry. You don't need to keep bringing it up week after week. We know. And also, there's this amazing thing called the internet that if we wanted to find out more about Jungle Boy or Luchasaurus or Marco Stunt, see what I did there? Or anybody else who works for AEW or WWE or Major League Wrestling or New Japan or any place else that you wanted to go to, you can go to the interwebs and you can look up stuff about them. Use credited sources, though. Don't just go anywhere. You can find out pretty much anything you would like to know about somebody if you dig deep enough. Not that I recommend doing that either, because that comes off a little stalkery and more than a little bit weird. So, enough said there. Now, moving on to another close your mouth, it's Christmas moment. We're over here now. Whee! Okay. Now, I have to speak on this because I actually haven't spoken on this a whole lot, but I'm going to now. I am not going to sit here and be like, being a female and being a wrestling fan is the hardest thing I've ever done, because it's not. But I have to be honest, sometimes being a wrestling fan and being a female wrestling fan is really difficult. Because for some reason, some men seem to think that they can just talk absolute shit to you and treat you like, well, you don't belong here because, you're a girl. This also has started happening in the realm of science fiction and comics and things like that. And I want it to fucking stop now. Because all you fucking ass clowns out there that were all like, oh, women are there's too many women in the Star Wars movies and all that. You motherfuckers weren't even born when A New Hope came out. I was there when it came out, going to a theater with 2 screens where it was wrapped around the building. So shut the fuck up about how women aren't supposed to be involved in science fiction. Fuck you. Especially when you think about the fact that one of the first pieces of science fiction ever written and published, which would be Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus, was written by a woman. I know some people might argue Frankenstein is a horror novel. I actually think of it more as a science fiction novel, and the fact that it was written by a woman is pretty badass, so fuck you. But the problem where this is all going is the fact that a lot of people talk about how the internet's full of toxic people. And to be honest, I would like to think that that's not accurate. The toxic people can be very loud, but to be perfectly honest, I think that most people on the internet are on the internet because they want to research something or they want to find out about people that like the same things they like, and they want to get together and be friends with them, which is terrific. We always can use more friends that are into the stuff that we like, because sometimes when you meet someone and you become friends with them and you become friends because you both like the same thing, then they can show you something that you've never seen that you can go, oh, wow, that's cool. And you can do the same thing back to them and they go, oh, wow, that's great. And then you're finding out all new shit and it's awesome. And that's fantastic because that's the way the internet is supposed to be. That's what's supposed to happen. The problem is that this culture has sprung up on the internet and also in real life, which sucks. This whole concept that if you like something, you can only like that one something and you can't like anything else. I will give an example outside of wrestling and then I will, talk about wrestling. You'll see what I mean. If you're a movie fan, for the longest time, there's been, movies and TV, we'll go with that. For the longest time, there was a friendly, and I will stress the word friendly, rivalry between fans of Star Wars and Star Trek over what was better. Which was a better universe. Was it the Star Wars universe or was it the Star Trek universe? And I've been part of that. I've been of the opinion, they have better ships here, but they had better plots here. The characters were more fleshed out here. But, and if you think I'm going to say where either of those things are or any of those things are, you're on drugs, because I'm not. But my point is, nobody ever said to me, well, if you're a Star Trek fan, you can't like Star Wars. Or if you're a Star Wars fan, you can't like Star Trek. Because you know what would happen if somebody said that to me? I would laugh in their face. And I would walk away shaking my head, still laughing at them, because that is a dumbass thing to say. But unfortunately, for some reason that I really don't understand, besides the fact that people lately love to have this whole us versus them mentality about everything, and that includes politics, which I'm not talking about at all because I don't know jack shit about politics, and I like it that way. But there have been a bunch of people online spouting off, well, if you like WWE, you're stupid. AEW is clearly superior, and if you're a WWE fan, you're not a real wrestling fan, and you're a mark, and this, that, and the other thing. You know what? I am a mark. And you know what? So is everybody else who pays a ticket to go to a wrestling show. We're all marks. Because we're all sitting there for a little bit of time acting like we believe this is all real. You know? We all get excited and scream our lungs out when The Undertaker comes out. We all go crazy when, somebody else comes along or something like that. In that moment, you're a mark because you've suspended your disbelief. Congratulations. But first of all, the whole attitude, now what really, really bothers me is that now people are taking this and they're being like, well, you can only like one or the other, and if you don't like the same one I like, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're a bad person. Knock it the fuck off. That is the most ridiculous attitude I have ever seen in my life. And I will be really, really honest now, and this might really, really piss some people off. And to people out there who are actually acting like rational human beings, I'm sorry, I don't mean you. That is not helping AEW at all. To be like, well, we're going to be a bunch of, people that decide we're the best and everybody else sucks. And if you like another product, you not only are wrong, you're a bad person. Are you serious? Can you imagine if you talked to somebody and you said, well, I like vanilla ice cream, and the other person said, well, I like, I'm trying to think of a pistachio, which personally I wouldn't touch if you paid me. But if you like vanilla ice cream and the other person likes pistachio ice cream, and you said to that other person, well, you like pistachio ice cream, you're obviously a communist, or whatever, or you're a bad person, or you beat your wife or something like that. You know what you come off like? An absolute nutcase, and nobody's gonna want to hang around you. So please, before you put something on the internet, and please remember, what you put on the internet is on the internet forever. Please think about it, okay? I'm not saying that you have to love every single aspect of wrestling. I'm absolutely not saying that. Do I like the WWE? I like a lot of the performers in the WWE. Do I wish they were written better? Definitely. Do I wish they were written for better? Put it that way. Definitely. Do I wish that some of the angles that the WWE is doing right now would be, shoved out of an airlock? Definitely. Do I think that the WWE audience is to blame for that and they're terrible people and blah, blah, blah? No, I don't. Because that's nuts. That's completely nuts. Like entire bag of Goobers candy nuts. Although Goobers are delicious. But seriously, don't do that. There's enough things out there to divide people. There's enough people out there being like, it's us against them. You know what? It's really all us. We're all each other's gut. This is it. So, before you start being like, well, I'm an AEW fan, you know what? Great. Be an AEW fan. And if your friend's a WWE fan, maybe you can turn him on to AEW by being a nice person and being like, hey, come check this out. And if they watch it and they go, that's not really for me, go, well, okay, go enjoy SmackDown, go enjoy Raw. Not sure how they're going to do that, but if they want to do it, great. But don't insult people. How is insulting people going to make them look at your point of view? It's not. They're going to think you're a prick. So close your mouth. It's Christmas, and try and act like a human being. Maybe Santa will bring these people some brains this year. I don't know, or some class. I don't know. It's just craziness. Okay, so this got a little bit rantalicious. Sorry about that. And if you have any comments, questions, queries, complaints, if you feel like I'm just completely talking out of my hat, or if you agree with me, which would be fine too, platinumroselle@yahoo.com, and, send me your opinion and stuff, and don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Hate me because you're shallow and misguided. No, I'm just kidding. And don't hate me. I'm needy like that. But I hope that, I hope everybody out there who's still Christmas shopping, you can't see me, but I'm totally raising my hand. I hope everybody is safe at the holidays and stuff. And I hope everybody else who is celebrating, other holidays of different faiths and everything. And I hope you're all getting ready for your holiday and it's all going great. I hope that you will check out the other sites that are part of our little island of misfit toys. And if you'd like to also check me out on Twitter, platinumroselle@twitter.com. And please check out my website, and all of the stuff on my website was done by TC, because TC is my husband and he's amazing and the webmaster and does all this stuff because I couldn't do it if I tried. And like I said, please check out all our stuff. Please check out our Patreon and our Patron Circle stuff coming up, and all of the other websites that are part of our little family, Subject Cinema, Platinum Rose's Garden, all the other ones, including our friends, the Lions over at Cavebabble, and Anthony Lamberti on YouTube. He's a great person, and Eric and Valerie are great people. And I'm sure you're a great person too. So I hope you have a great rest of your week, and come back next week when I'll have some more to talk about here on Ring Around the Rosie. This is Kim Brown, signing off for another week. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Ring Around the Rosie with Kim Brown, a production of PNR Networks. Keep in touch with all things about the show at http://ringaroundtherosie.net. Ring Around the Rosie intro performed by Eric Lyon. Ring Around the Rosie theme by Digital Juice. Join Kim for a new Ring Around the Rosie every Wednesday. Ring Around the Rosie is copyright 2018 PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.